Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle was more than just a man of the cloth, he was a force. In the gilded halls of the Vatican, he was a breath of fresh air, often called the Asian Pope Francis. Tagle led the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, the nerve center for the Church's global mission. He was seen as the future, a bridge between old and new, a key ally in Pope Francis's reform agenda. Tagle wasn't just pushing papers, he was shaping policy, appointing bishops and directing resources. He became a symbol of hope for millions, but hope is dangerous in the Vatican. For every supporter, an enemy lurked, threatened by his progressive vision. The Church was in crisis, financial scandals, abuse cover-ups and power struggles. Tagle was at the center, championing transparency and reform. On the eve of a major Vatican summit, he was set to deliver a speech rumored to expose decades of corruption. The world's media watched, expecting fireworks. He stood at the peak of his influence, holding the fate of the institution in his hands. But just as the curtain was about to rise, he vanished. No warning, no explanation, just gone. The Vatican and the world were left in shock. It happened without a sound. One moment, Cardinal Tagle was everywhere. The next, only silence. On the morning of the summit, his chair was empty, his speech untouched. At first, people assumed a minor delay, but as time passed, tension grew. Vatican aides whispered, journalists hit a wall of no comment, and the usual spin doctors seemed lost. The silence was more terrifying than any bad news. Speculation ran wild, accident, illness, or something darker. Rome held its breath. The Vatican's walls offered no answers. The Swiss guards stood watch, but their presence felt ominous. Tagle's disappearance paralyzed the institution. Days passed. His apartment was sealed, staff reassigned, his name erased from schedules. It was a systematic erasure, not a simple absence. This was no ordinary missing person. It was as if he'd been made to disappear. The Vatican's silence was a chilling message. Even a prince of the Church could vanish without a trace. The world was left to wonder what had happened behind those ancient walls and why. After a week, the Vatican finally spoke, a terse statement. Cardinal Tagle had taken a voluntary leave for spiritual reflection at an undisclosed location. The Church asked for prayers and privacy, but the explanation rang hollow. Tagle was a fighter, not one to abandon a crucial moment for a retreat. Why the secrecy? Why the week of silence? The language, voluntarily, personal reasons was designed to shut down inquiry. Tagle was a public figure, not a private citizen. Treating his disappearance as a family matter was an insult to anyone paying attention. The story demanded belief in an overnight personality change. The reformer, on the verge of exposing corruption, had supposedly walked away. The official story wasn't the truth, it was a smokescreen. Behind it, a darker reality waited to be uncovered. The official story unraveled almost immediately. Anonymous Vatican leaks told of a heated argument the night before Tagle vanished. Threats, raised voices, and a shaken cardinal. There were no records of a retreat, no driver, no flight, no sign of him leaving. Roman police confirmed he hadn't left the city. Airport cameras showed nothing. His apartment told a story of sudden interruption. A half-finished coffee, an open prayer book. These weren't the actions of a man planning a retreat. Tagle had simply vanished from one of the most secure places on earth. His staff and allies were terrified, not reassured. Key aides were abruptly transferred or sent away. Swift, ruthless moves to isolate Tagle and control the narrative. This wasn't protection, it was a purge. The Vatican was dismantling his power base, silencing his friends. The cracks in the facade revealed a darker truth. Tagle's disappearance was no accident. The evidence screamed of a cover-up. The Vatican's story was fiction, and the world was starting to see through it. The question was no longer if something was wrong, but how deep the rot went. The silence was now deafening, and the stakes had never been higher. The world demanded answers. The first and most chilling theory, Tagle was the victim of a political purge. His planned speech was a declaration of war against entrenched Vatican power. His rivals saw him as an existential threat. Imagine a late-night ultimatum: resign, disappear, or face consequences. Tagle, true to his convictions, refused. He was forcibly removed, exiled to obscurity, alive but neutralized. Perhaps he's held in a remote monastery, every move watched, communication monitored. The spiritual retreat is a euphemism for a political coup. His enemies now control his office, his files, and the reform agenda. The Purge fits the Vatican's long, bloody history of internal power struggles. Tagle's disappearance is a brutal warning. Challenge the old guard, and you vanish. The message is clear: reformers are not welcome. The institution protects itself at any cost. The silence is not just absence, it's victory for those who fear change, and a chilling lesson for anyone who dares to try. The second theory casts Tagle as a fugitive, not a victim. He uncovered something so dangerous, perhaps ties to organized crime, that he knew his life was at risk. The night before his speech, he received a credible, terrifying threat. Faced with certain death, he chose to run. Using his global network, he orchestrated a secret escape, avoiding official channels. He could be anywhere: a Manila slum, a remote monastery, a quiet parish in North America. He's in hiding, gathering evidence, planning his next move. The Vatican's retreat story is a forced fiction. Admitting the truth would be catastrophic. The Church can't reveal that one of its top cardinals fled for his life, so the silence continues while Tagle remains a ghost, hunted by those he threatened to expose. The world wonders: is he safe or still running? The truth for now is hidden, but the danger is real, and the stakes could not be higher. The third theory is the darkest. Tagle is a prisoner held within the Vatican itself. Seized by a rogue faction, he's hidden in a secret cell beneath St. Peter's or an unmarked building. His leverage used to blackmail the Pope, halt reforms and secure power. His silence is forced, not voluntary. He may be interrogated, pressured to reveal allies and secrets. Killing him would make him a martyr. Keeping him silent is more useful. The Vatican's official story may be a cover even to its own press office. Meanwhile, a shadow war rages behind closed doors. The Pope and loyalists negotiate desperately, unable to call in outside help. Tagle is not missing. He's a hostage in a hidden battle for the Church's soul. The corridors of power are now a battlefield. The world sees only silence, but inside, the struggle is fierce. Tagle's fate is a bargaining chip, and the outcome will shape the future of the Vatican. Tagle's disappearance created chaos, a power vacuum at the heart of Vatican reform. He was the engine. Without him, the movement stalled. The summit collapsed, his allies retreated, and the old guard seized control. A traditionalist administrator took over, suspending Tagle's projects. The message: reform is over. The winners were the conservative cardinals. The losers, millions who believed in change. Trust in Vatican leadership shattered. Investigations halted. Dossiers locked away, loyalists removed. The apparatus of reform was dismantled piece by piece. Tagle's vanishing decapitated a movement. The secrets he threatened to expose were buried again. For the faithful, hope was extinguished. The Church returned to old ways, its future uncertain. The disappearance did more than remove a man. It ended an era and ensured the shadows would remain. Years have passed since Tagle vanished. The official story of his spiritual retreat grows thinner with time. The world has moved on, but in Rome his absence is a ghost, haunting the corridors of power. His disappearance is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the price of challenging the establishment. The reforms he championed are a distant memory. The Church sails on, but with a shadow on its heart. The mystery stains Pope Francis's legacy. Was he complicit, powerless, or playing a long game? The silence on Tagle defines these years, a symbol of the Vatican's deep, secretive resistance to change. The ultimate question remains: what really happened to Cardinal Tagle? Is he a prisoner, a fugitive, or a casualty of a silent war? Until that question is answered, uncertainty lingers, and the world is left to wonder who truly holds power behind those ancient walls. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.